Good morning, everyone. Anthony Tharp again. I'm coming to just comment on a few things and make a few observations that I took regarding the information I've been giving out. First of all, I want to thank God for another really great day. It's beautiful here. The temperature is almost perfect, a little warmer than it was, but I hear we're getting cold weather for the weekend, which is great because I enjoy the cool as opposed to the hot. Yet when I'm in Jamaica, it's a special kind of heat. I don't know why. It's kind of weird when you land in Jamaica. It's a different energy. I guess Jamaica is one of those on one of those energy grids across the planet because it's really a different feeling. That said, won't be wasting too much time. I want to dive right into the matter on the Justice Ty making a judgment that literally changed the Real Estate Act, which now requires, by virtue of her ruling, that registered real estate developers now need to have a real estate dealer's license enabling them to do real estate business. Because according to her definition, doing real estate business involves development. And therefore, any contract that one enters into as a developer, even if you're legally registered, is invalid. And in fact, she stated that I was lucky I wasn't put in jail for signing contracts, even prior to her ruling, which was the accepted way of doing business. So as I said to you before, I threw that in front of the appeals court and I've been waiting. That ruling came from 2017 and the lawsuit was filed in 2013. So you see the years again that has elapsed, and it's costing people their lives. I mean, come on. Matters which are time sensitive. You're doing a development, you get your act together, you get all your facts together, you get all your application fees necessary, and you file them, and you still have to wait from 2013 to now, which is 10 years? Yeah, about 10 years, going 11, I guess. So again, how does one compensate a person for losing 10 years of their lives? And how do you tell your partners and investors to suck it up? It's the cost of doing business. No, it's the cost of doing business in Jamaica because we have so many irregularities in standards of operation that I don't know how this country has survived this long, but it's unraveling. Over the last couple of weeks, we've looked at social media, we've heard people, we've had discussions one-on-one with persons, and it's unraveling. People are fed up, and rightly so, because intelligent people shouldn't sit down and accept foolishness. And when you have people that you employed to work for you and they take action that acts against you and your progress and your family's progress and the best life you could live, then it's time for you to act. And I emphasize the fact that government workers, elected officials, judges in the courts, officers in the court, anybody that's working as a civil servant is employed by you, the ordinary taxpayer, which forms the majority of people who put those people in office. And as they say, if they're not working out, then you fire them. That's when you have election, you decide you want them out. So we've been having some major issues with the present administration, and I am not a political person as it comes to party affiliation. Most people that know me know this. I try to be as objective as possible. And frankly, what's going on now, it's there's a lack of confidence in the Jamaican government, the current leadership, the current elected officials. There's lack of confidence. And if you look in other countries that's democratic, when there's a major lack of confidence, then those people resign. And since we are based off the Westminster system of democracy and government, then like our parent government, the UK, then we should follow state, and our Prime Minister should, at this point in time, resign, retire, and call a snap election if that's what it takes. Because we can't continue with this nonsense. Intelligent people said don't sit around and accept this nonsense. And it's going on for too long. So again, I notice I haven't gotten too many responses on the matter of mortgages and people buying property. I am about to place an ad in international media, newspapers in Florida, Caribbean newspapers in Florida, informing them that, informing Jamaicans and Caribbean people, anybody that plans to invest into Jamaica, that is going to state, investor, beware of spending your money in Jamaica or investing your money, because you're not protected. Because even though we did everything right and we continue to do everything legal and right, our assets, our money, our time, our lives is still in limbo. And what do? You don't live forever. But when you have your business being tied up for 20 other years, and you've done everything right according to the law, in keeping with rulings from the Supreme Court and the Appeals Court, and we are still being strung out or hung out to dry by corruption, and regardless of how we speak about it or address it factually and present the evidence and reach out to the quote-unquote powers that be, and the powers that be are people we elected, those powers have completely ignored a citizen of this country who had invited or has invited not only citizens of this country but citizens from other countries to invest their hard-earned money in this country. And now they're suffering as well. I have lost partners, and when I say lost partners, I wasn't stating that they just packed up and left. They passed on. They went to a higher plane because they couldn't wait around. And as I said to you before, there was one partner, one of my strongest investors, said to me a couple of weeks before she passed, Anthony, are we going to see anything coming from these investments? So the question is a valid one. And I will keep repeating, and I'm literally begging everybody that looks and listens to this video and listens to my voice, that we need your help to get the word out. So like everybody else on social media, they've pointed out the importance of striking that like button, sharing the video, and subscribing. And I've stated and will continue to state, my objective is not to make money off these videos, but to get the information out, because what's happening to me and my partners is what's happening to you, because everything we set out to do in this country would have been to the benefit of every Jamaican, whether you're on the island or you live off the island, whether you're in the diaspora or you're still here planning to migrate. It's going to affect you, and it's affecting you right now. Corruption. And so we need to deal with it. So I'm addressing the whole scenario with what Justice Ty's ruling meant, and I've been looking at it from multiple directions. And in any event, the fact that you or somebody you knew bought property from a real estate developer that's registered legally, and that developer did not have a real estate dealer's license, it means that you or that real estate developer entered into an illegal contract with you. That's what Justice Ty ruled, and until that's struck down, that's the law of the land. So I've been waiting for months, as I told you, and the appeals court seemed to be having a hard time coming with a decision. And out of an abundance of caution, I decided I would let the Jamaican population know or anybody that's investing in Jamaica or looking to invest in Jamaica or becoming an investor developer in Jamaica, buyer beware, investor beware, that your investment dollar, your money you're spending to purchase property, your interest, your lifestyle that you're looking to develop by investing in this country might not be as bright as you think. So rather than spending your money or continuing a relationship that anybody could come up and say you signed an illegal contract, you need to turn over this house, because technically that's what that ruling meant. It means that the developer who sold you that property entered an illegal contract which is invalid, meaning that developer can simply come back and say the house is ours, regardless of the illegality, because the reality is it's the court that struck it down and made a ruling that the contract you entered was illegal. So it's the court that is giving a developer who sold your property to come back and collect that property from you. And that wouldn't be fraud. What would be problematic for the developer is that the developer would owe the bank or the financial institution money that they collected from them. And there is a lot of controversy there as well, because those banks voluntarily went into a relationship with you who signed an illegal contract not knowing, and therefore the loan itself becomes an illegality. So the developer would probably have to find a way to compensate the banks, but then they have the excuse that it wasn't their fault, because this is what the state had licensed them, had given them permission to do under the act. And therefore, it now falls on the taxpayer, you, who figure what I'm saying to you has no bearing on you. You don't own a home, you have invested in a property figuring you don't have anything to do with this. The reality is that the government, the taxpayer, will have to pay that bill. They'll have to compensate the banks for that, spending those funds with you, and paid over to the developer for the property. The developer can sue the state because the state who put them into this position, and therefore the state becomes liable for all parties, including yourself. So again, take this matter seriously. Okay, you might think it's a joke or I'm just saying something that's an impossibility, but if the appeals court comes down on the side of the ruling of Justice Tai, then you're in limbo. As I say, your property isn't safe, and though I think the liability would fall on the state for all the mess that was created, then it's a way to protect yourself right now by getting with your banks and informing them that this ruling exists. The developers that you acquire the property from, get with them and let them know that they entered an illegal contract with you, and they need to sort out the money thing and everything that's going on, whether they want to sue the state, sue wherever, but you have no liability in the matter. You're a victim. So again, that needs to be dealt with. You need to address it and talk to the relevant parties. Call the housing trust, call the developers you purchased from, call your friends who bought houses, even if you don't, and tell them they need to start packing away their monthly payments in an escrow. And as I said to you, put it in an institution that you currently don't have a relationship with, so that they can go in and raid your account. Because in Jamaica, it seems that's a common factor. Financial institutions believe they can make laws about your money. They can go in and bill you and take money out of your money every month. And that wasn't the initial foundation on banking in Jamaica. They don't pay you interest on your money, and if they do pay you interest, they come up with so many fees that you end up not getting an interest. You end up owing the bank. You go in there to cash your check, they bill you for it. And again, it's constantly changing the rules so they make money and your accounts are depleted. So don't put it in a bank. that you have a relationship with. No, put it in, as I've said to you, I would put my money in a credit union. So over the period that this matter is resolved, then I am accruing an advantage in the money market, in that I can leverage with that institution at the end of this corrective period, and take loans to now take that and go invest in other property or investment options. And one thing I learned when I was growing up, and I was young and in the business of investing on real estate, I started in real estate very early. And one of the first things the real estate company I was with did, they had a seminar on investing in the stock market. And one of the things that was pointed out was that when you reach the age of 50, most people are approaching a period when they are going to be retired. That's when you refuse from putting money in a stock market or a securities type industry where there are no, I wouldn't say guarantees, but put it in where you go and put it in an investment portfolio that you could lose everything, where your principal isn't protected or insured. So I would avoid any kind of securities that's out there, so you don't end up in a situation. And again, I'll qualify that, because I say I don't know what kind of portfolio Mr. Bolt had with those people, whether they had 100% power to use the funds or invest all the funds, or the principal was guaranteed. I don't know, and we haven't been told, but those are important factors that we must look at. So the reality is, you don't want to put your money with anybody that can do that to you, and at the end of the day you end up without having that retirement money. So again, the Jamaica securities market is not a mature market. It's been around for a short time. And what you want to do is look at markets like the United States market, the New York Stock Exchange, read up on them and find out and see how many people lose money in the stock market. Don't look at the ones who come out and make a lot of money. Look at the ones who lost money. Look at their portfolio. Look at how much they put in, and look at the consequences of them losing money when they're near retirement. I've known people who their portfolio was looking really good. You probably hear a lot of people talk about the 401k, where employers match the money you have in an investment account. And it's all good when everything is going good, but when everything goes bad, then that portfolio can be diminished significantly and be wiped out. So, as I said, a lot of people I know during the 2008 and before that, when you had a collapse in the stock market, then they lost everything. They had to go back to work because they left their money in there. And I'm pretty sure, because I've heard this, that quite a few senior citizens had money at SSL, and they've been wiped out or will be wiped out or significantly hit, because that institution, regardless of what happens, they'll have to freeze them and probably pull them from the market, and investment portfolios are going to be negatively affected. So again, please assert yourself, become the leader. In hard times, heroes are created. So you become a hero. You become a person that stands up for yourself, and in so doing, you're also helping people who are ignorant of what's going on, ignorant of how they can help themselves and make a difference. Because when the economy collapses, all of us get hurt. And I remind you that Jamaica has been fortunate over the last 300 years not to have any major political upheaval, regardless of strikes from the plantation era, colonialism or colonization. We haven't had any major issues there, fortunately for us, and we should try to avoid it. For those who have the warrior spirit and want to fight, the 21st century is a time when we have tools at our disposal that we can use without being militarized. So there's no need to arm yourself, burn down places, destroy other people's lives. You can simply use the tools that are at our disposal. Use the ballot box. Demand an election. Sit those politicians down in a town hall meeting and don't just listen to them and their nonsense. When I say sit them down, sit them down. You do the talking and give them an ultimatum. It's either you do this or you resign by a certain date. And let them know if they don't do it, don't come back to your community. Get out. Take your money, get in a slow canoe with a hole in there with one paddle and go south. But you need to get out of our community. You can't stand up, but you're representing us again. Drive home that consensus. Get together, start petitions and get those petitions signed. And don't let other people intimidate you if they're from one political affiliation or the other. They can only intimidate you but so much, and when you're united or unified, that mess stops. But what you have to point out to them is, are you better off than I am with the situation that's going on? And people generally understand the reality of their economic situation and their ability to survive, or know where their next meal is coming from, or whether I'll be living under a bridge or on the street pushing a cart with scraps in there because of what's going on politically. They understand that. They understand the fact that if I don't take care of business now and make sure I am okay, will I be able to afford health care? Will I be able to do that? Because when the government collapsed, as you can see in Jamaica, the hospitals are one big mess. It's scary to even go there. In fact, it's almost a one-way ticket when you're in Jamaica and you go to the hospital. And I went to the hospital once I was on the island. I think I ate something and it was bad, and because I'm a cardiac person and I have to watch everything I do. So when I had that experience, I went to the store to let me buy Coca-Cola or Pepsi or something carbonated that would help settle my stomach. On the way there, I bought it. I was driving. I had to stop because I felt so bad. I got up. My brother was coming around, and I started to walk around the car. Good thing we were crossing path. He was there in time to grab me as I just completely blocked out. So we went to the hospital, and I was there. And the first thing that shocked the heck out of me was a nurse took my blood pressure, and it was 160 over 80 something over 92, 160 something over 92. And she said, "Oh, you're normal." Of course. Oh, your blood pressure is normal. That's, oh God, help me. All right, so I stayed. The doctors came, they looked at me, said they have to observe or monitor me. I was there for about 8 hours, from early in the morning, I think about 3 or 4 in the morning, to after 2 or 3 going in the afternoon, right? And no doctor came back. The doctor when I had seen her, they said, oh, they were to monitor me, they were to check my pressure every so often. I laid there, nothing was happening. To my left, there was a lady behind a screen there that they put in behind a screen there after I was there. Apparently she had a miscarriage, and a nurse came around her curtain, walked by my bed with a basin with afterbirth. That was bad. Across from where I was in the ER, I guess. Across from where I was, there were 2 dead bodies. One was covered up under a sheet, and they finally came in with a metal coffin and put one in, and they rolled it and put it down to one side. Didn't even roll it out of the ER and take it someplace else. There was a dead body. And then there was a lady with twins sitting on a chair beyond the bed, the screen that I was talking about, by the door, by a bin, a garbage bin. And the nurse that came out the screen here with this lady that just had a miscarriage, and they were taking her afterbirth. She went by that bin where the lady is sitting with her 2 twins, giving nursing just opened the bin and threw all of that stuff right in there beside that woman. At that point, I called the nurse and I said I need to speak to somebody. So I called and somebody, a supervisor came, I guess, or the head nurse, and I said, I'm sitting here. I've been here for how long? Nothing is happening. I said, that just happened with this thing on the afterbirth. And she went and she dumped it right beside the lady with the baby. There are 2 dead bodies in here. Something needs to be done. What the nurse said to me. Yeah, she shouldn't have dumped it in that bin. She should have gone down where the dead bodies were. Big difference. We're in the same room. So you know what? I said, you know what? Discharge me. I need to go. Could you take out this IV thing out my arm? She's telling me I have to wait until the doctor comes. So I waited another 20 minutes. I said, call the doctor. The doctor isn't coming. So I said, you know what? Please, unplug me. And she said me, oh, she can't do it until the doctor comes, and I can't. I said, listen, if you don't do it, I'm going to take it out and leave. Oh, you can't do that, and she will call security. I said, go ahead, call security. And I just, in front of her, pulled the damn thing out of my arm, pulled my slippers from under, or sandals from under the bed, put it on, called my sister, called my brother, and said, meet me at the door. And everybody is rushing from someplace to come look at me. I'm like, no, the stress of being in here and all the nonsense that's going on is what's going to kill me. So I'd rather come out of there and catch a flight back to Florida, which is what I did. I got on a late flight that very evening and flew into Florida. And fortunately, it was a stomach ailment, got some meds from my people, my doctor, and I was good within a week. So I'm saying to you, if you don't start looking about your well-being or your welfare now, going into hospitals in Jamaica is a one-way affair in most cases, a lot of cases. And, it's, again, corruption. Why is the medical area or medical, service industry in Jamaica so horrific? We have doctors, they're trained, and when they leave and go elsewhere and work, they certainly perform. So what's going on in Jamaica? Again, it points back and goes back to the same thing. Citizens who are good people, who are law-abiding citizens, who are law-abiding people, sit there and accept the nonsense, the mediocrity. We sit there and allow people to treat us as if we're dirt, as if we deserve whatever we get and we must accept it. No, we're not. We're not accepting it, and we shouldn't accept it. You need to speak up, stand up, or if not, we are going to continue to experience these things. It's 2023 now, 2023. I should not be discussing matters like that. We should be talking about more sophisticated matters. We need to stand up. And I'm going to comment on this, although it's a little distraction. I've been seeing videos online about this Jamaican Chinese lady, and a whole bunch of people on social media are attacking this lady. Fortunately, it's not a lot of Jamaicans, and in fact a lot of Jamaicans have come out and commented that the lady isn't doing anything wrong. She didn't do anything wrong. We're not anti-Chinese, we're not anti-Asian, we're not anti-anybody. Jamaica is one people. And we don't go around classifying people as whether they're Chinese American, Chinese Jamaican, they're Indo-Jamaican. We don't do that. The Jamaicans are Jamaicans. As I said, many of us are related. We have the genes of everybody from every continent running through our veins. We don't have time for that foolishness. And I've commented on some of those people who come on and start trying to school Jamaicans about Jamaica and how we are allowing the Chinese to do this, to do that against us, and which is a whole bunch of nonsense. Jamaican people respect people, not because of their race, color, or creed, but because of who they are. And unfortunately, yes, we've heard that working conditions for a lot of the persons working with recent arrivals, and I'm saying recent arrivals of Chinese who have opened hardware stores and grocery stores and all of that. And we have to differentiate between recent arrivals who aren't necessarily immigrating to the country. They're just merely coming in, operating their business to get back out. Some have stayed, but we're not talking about Chinese Jamaicans who've been here since time immemorial. They have struggled with us. We've worked together. We won. They sound like us. They speak like us. They look like us. Lighter skin. That's about it. But you see so many black people on the island of African descent with slit eyes like Chinese. Where they get it from? The fact is, we're not into that racism. And I'm saying to Jamaican and my Jamaican people, don't get distracted with people like that. It's the ignorance of people like that that got us in the position we are now, because they use that to have us hate each other. Because I was Yoruba, I was Isan, I was Mandinga, I was Igbo or Egbo, I was Gambian, I was Sandman or Bushman, I was what Nelson Mandela is, wherever in South America. I was Ethiopian, I was Berber, and we should fight each other. They use that distraction to haul the hell out of us and displace us and turn us into slaves. Let's not fall back into that trap. Because one of the benefits of slavery, I always say look for the silver lining. One of the benefits of slavery is that when we came here, we interbred with everybody. Whether it started out as forced or not, we're still interbreeding. We are so mixed in terms of genetics that it's hard to differentiate where in Africa we're from. And in fact, when you do your genealogy, you find that you have so many different tribes inside of you, you have no time to be fighting with anybody. Same thing with Asians. We have so many percentages of Asians in us that we don't have time to fight no Asian or Chinese this or Chinese. So let's just drop it and focus on the problems at hand. The problems with workers and people operating businesses in Jamaica has been a long-standing problem. And that's not the people who are coming in to invest in the country. That's the Jamaican government who has refused to ensure that the standards, work standards, are adequate. They have refused to implement law that makes people get a living wage where they can afford to live, pay the rent, pay the mortgage, feed their children, have their medical issues taken care of, have a good life. They have done that in the quest of attracting investors, international investors, who in turn don't put or spend the money back in Jamaica where it's supposed to circulate, and the more it circulates, the greater the economy. We don't have that happening, and government is to be blamed. Our government, the people we employ to work for us, is to be blamed, because you can't blame the Chinese or any investor from China, from Spain, from Canada, from anywhere who comes to Jamaica and invests their money based on an advantage they see in our economy because of government policy. We can't do it, because we do the same thing. We invest in other places if we have the opportunity to, where we can. What we have to do is come up with policies that make sure we are protected. So instead of people complaining about the Chinese coming in and taking advantage of tax loopholes, let's stop it. It's not the Chinese that made those policies. It's the Jamaican government. You know who the government represent? They represent us. Everything they do and everything they speak about and address, they're speaking on our behalf. They have a power of attorney over everything that's of our interest and business. And when they screw it up, don't blame people who take advantage of it. So let's get away from that. I've always said, let's get more sophisticated. We are some of the smartest people on the planet. As I said, we have blends of Igbo or Egbo. We have blends of Esan. We have blends of Yoruba. We have blends of Taino. We have blends of Peruvian. We have blends of Caribs. We're smarter than that. Let's stop being silly and stop going after stuff like that. Deal with the corruption. Deal with the crimes that these people commit on our behalf and put them in their place. That's what we need to do. And then enact policy. And I say, put people in place that goes in there and follow the mandate we gave them. not come up with excuses after excuses to empower themselves. And again, I will always say this, I don't know how factually this is, but on another influencer on YouTube, I saw where he was reading out where he has information that the Prime Minister has a transport business, trucks, working on sites that's hauling material for the highway. And if that is true, then that's a major marker against the Prime Minister. That's a conflict of interest. He can't be in there competing with ordinary Jamaicans who put him in there for work for them, and he's taking the jobs. It's our people that are looking to be entrepreneurs and have the trucks and have all of them things out there to haul the stuff. They're the ones that should be working, not the Prime Minister who is being paid a salary to leave everything else out there and focus on our business. And I've said, if that doesn't suit you, then the right and proper thing to do is to resign. But right now, that's a conflict of interest, and you're working against your own people. And any government official that has similar activity going on, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them do, it's illegal. It's a conflict of interest, because especially these foreign companies, when they're coming in, like China, working on the roads, what do you think they're going to do? You think they're going to give anybody else a job if the Prime Minister has trucks to work? Or is the Prime Minister going to allow anybody to get the job and his trucks are parked? So, as I said, let's become more sophisticated. Let's think deeper than the obvious. Let's look behind the veneer that they've painted or put in front of us and the facade, and let's figure out what's going on and create our own destiny. Again, one of the things we can do is, if we have policy in Jamaica that's working in favor of foreign investors, you become a foreign investor. The blueprint is there. And people might be saying, but you're crazy. How are you going to become a foreign investor and you live in Jamaica? Guess what? You see, corporate law, the Prime Minister has accounts in St. Lucia. Quite a few of those investment houses has accounts in foreign countries. They open corporations in those countries. And then those corporations come back to Jamaica and do all kind of stuff. There are no laws over there that you can open corporations as well. So if the Jamaica corporation thing isn't working out for you because you can't take advantage of the loophole for foreign investors, you go abroad and open an account or a business in one of those countries. Then come back to Jamaica with that business and register it as a foreign entity. And then instead of cussing off the Chinese who are bringing in food and staple and products that we need, you take your company, go to China, go to Taiwan, go to Korea, you purchase stuff over there as a foreign entity, you set up shop here as a foreign entity and sell it to your people at the prices or that they can afford as a foreign corporation. Take advantage of the tax laws, the loopholes, and when that 5-year period up, you go over there and bring in some St. Lucian or some people from Turks and Caicos or from Africa or from South America to come work in your establishment. You work it out where if that's going to give you an advantage, then take it, because your money is going to be sitting in bank accounts in Jamaica because you live there. Your money is going to be circulating, and if not all, some of it. We're not going to ship everything out because it's not to your advantage to undermine the country that you live in. So, as I said, think about creative ways to empower yourself that's legal. And again, it goes back. If you can't do it by yourself, pool your money. You don't need an investment house to put for 10 of us or 20 of us, put our money together and go to China and get quality stuff. And in that way, as a matter of fact, if we insist on going to China or elsewhere and get quality stuff, and Africa, we go to Africa and buy stuff that we need there. Africa grow rice, Africa grow cocoa that we're not producing and we're importing all of that stuff. Go buy from Africa and come back and sell it here as a foreign entity. So we empower Africa, empower ourselves, and everybody that's Jamaican. Not because some of them have Asian ancestry, we're going to target them and harass the people, harass our people. and more so from foreigners who are harassing our people and telling Jamaicans what they must do with their own neighbors. When those people come on here, tell them, go learn their history, learn about the mess that's in their country, and go fix it. It's in their country that they need to focus and fix the racism that they keep bottling and exporting before they start talking about people who have no racism or ideas of racism, the kind that they practice. Let's stop wasting our lives on time on all of that. We're too advanced to not understand that if we keep muddling the same mess in the same latrine, we won't be able to lead this planet as we are destined to. We were great leaders going back to ancient times. Now, because we're so distracted with every nonsense on the planet, instead of focusing on how we're going to empower ourselves, we keep losing and falling further and further behind. And at some point, we are going to become redundant. Are Jamaicans aware that water, fresh water, is drying up on the planet? We're running out of water. You have Nestles going about buying water all over the planet, buying up the sources of water all over the planet. What are we doing in the land of wood and water to safeguard our interest in water? We're going to wait till we run out, or we pollute it with the bauxite mining. We're going to wait till we have to start importing water, like how we import sugar and everything else we can grow. Rice, stuff we eat, like we're amongst the world's largest rice consumers. Flour, you know, we can grow wheat here, we can grow all kind of grains here, but we're not doing it. Instead, all we do, we're distracted with the nonsense of people trying to get us to be racist. Find out how we can become independent, because in doing so, we raise our status in the world as well. All right, so thanks for taking the time. Please, 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 let's fight this corruption in the courts. You have an interest in what's happening in the mortgage industry or banking industry, deal with it, circulate the video, talk to people about the whole ruling of Justice Ty. It is significant, because guess what? What she just did can collapse the banking industry in Jamaica, if you didn't understand what I'm saying. If the banking industry collapse, it means money values in Jamaica are going to disappear. That means inflation is going to kill us. It's going to eat us up. Right now, the Jamaican dollar is worth pennies. Pennies. When it could be worth a whole lot more. But we are becoming a consuming nation. And a nation who sit down there and accept nonsense when we can reverse that process. So what are we doing about looking about conserving our own environments? Most of these developers, these real estate developers, they go in and they plan these developments and they bulldoze every piece of grass and tree on the land, and then no plant back none. What do you think happening to our environment, our air? We're contributing to diminishing or depleting our own natural environment, not only locally but globally. So our developers can go in, and develop property without tearing down every tree them see. In fact, in a lot of countries, they have to replace trees, and they have to plant trees if they take them out. And in some areas and some states or some countries, they have to go around certain size trees. I know NEPA has a policy of preserving trees, but is that being enforced? Because I remember when I used to fly into Montego Bay a couple years ago, there was a cotton tree which is probably 2,000 years old, the biggest tree I've ever seen. And one day I came, I see a whole chunk of the tree chopped down, chop up. Who protected that tree? You know, understand the value of that, the history behind it. In some countries, you have a tree like that old. They pass laws, you can't touch it. In fact, there was a couple who almost went to jail in the US for moving a tree. They didn't try to kill it, they tried to move it. It died anyway. But the oak tree was, I think, 300 years old. And they spent money to move it because they had money. But they end up paying the price because there is value behind those. Can you imagine when tourists would come down, if you treat that tree correctly right out of the airport, you know, the opportunities for them to take pictures on a big old tree like that? No, we chop it down. And I didn't hear Nepal about it. Around Montego Bay, especially going along Bogue where you have the graveyard, and going to Tucker, Irwin, we had some massive guango tree that were growing there from before I was born. And they tree them all the way near to the Bank River, in the road, bother nobody, and somebody with a saw. Guaranteed that somebody who will get money from the government, from our purses, from our tax dollars, go in and chop down the whole of the tree them. And now you can't find a shade tree along those areas. Why? Are we so naively stupid that we see trees like that and not understand the value? And they never even cut it up and use the wood for nothing, and copy it and drop the wood right there, because that's all the trees. And you can drive around. In fact, coming down past Alvaronia Prep, right where you have that interchange now, a light at 4th Street and Howard Cook, and is it Jimmy Cliff, where all of that stuff meet just before you go around to where City Center is. There was a massive, I don't know what kind of tree it is. They say wild guinea, no, wild tambourine, some people say. Them go down and chop off half the tree, the rest of the tree in a couple months off a drop down, nearly kill a whole bunch of people on the road. That's the kind of thing we engage in the 21st century, when we should be protecting our economy, protecting ourselves, fighting corruption. We pay people out with our taxpayers' dollars to go around and destroy the environment because some politician, some crooked croft, get rich at the expense of the people of Jamaica and the people of the planet. And it's not only in that. I'm just talking about that little circle there. Every now and then I go down and see trees chopped down when I have no reason to be chopped down. So what are we doing as a people? We won't sit down and accept this nonsense. Understand the value of having a tree. And again, that same place where they chopped down that big tree, there was I saw a tamarind tree or an ackee tree growing, or a poinsettia tree growing there. And I'm watching the tree and say, oh, that tree is growing nicely. Past there like 3 months ago and then chopped down the tree. Not trouble nobody. It's a nice cool shade. People stand up there waiting for taxi and tech, all of that. People park the cars down there, keep the sun off of the metal, and keep the place cool, and then chop them down. For what reason? Anyway, you have a great day. It's Thursday, I think, the 9th of February 2023. I'll probably try to come back and make some other commentaries on stuff that's going on, that's relevant. But if I don't, for all those persons that deserve it, have a great, 14th of February. Valentine's Day, yeah. Everybody, hug yourself, give yourself a flower, treat yourself with something healthy, and keep the people you love close. And remember, the planet can benefit from love. All right, let's fight the hate. Let's fight the crime. Let's clean up our own business, and let's stop professing hate. And as I said, let's let the employees that work for us understand that they work for us. That's how you have to start thinking about these public officials. They're employees, nothing else. Them not have some super crown, then royalty from anywhere. They work for us. They're employees. So let them know their status. And when an employee does not perform what you do with them, you fire them behind. And make them know that's what's going to happen. Because we're not going to take it any longer. Have a good one. Bye.